Hey guys, my name is Matt Nieves. I am doing my narrative speech in this quick little video. I just wanted to inform you guys a little bit about Ulysses S. Grant. Now, why did I choose Ulysses S. Grant? Well, I chose him simply because of the man that he was. I chose him because I just find it unique that a president, a commander-in-chief, was actually a commander in an army, and not just any army. He was a commander in the Civil War. And so he was the president, according to History.com, from 1869 to 1877. And he was the general of the Union Army, and he was quite popular, quite a celebrity back in that day. And he did a speech, the State of the Union address, in 1875. And I chose this speech simply because of the timing of it, the timeline. Think 1875, December 7th is when the speech was given according to History.com. And this is 100 years after America had just declared independence from Britain. And 100 years later, um, it's quite the rite of passage. It is 100 years they made it as a nation. They've come a long way. And one of the bottom lines in this speech is Ulysses S. Grant telling the American people that they had come such a long way, but they still have so much more to go. And I just loved in this speech, Ulysses S. Grant is talking about how far America has come to begin with. And even in an article written by infoplease.com, it documents this article that I found documents the entire State of the Union address written by Ulysses S. Grant, verbatim, word for word. And he starts out, what I noticed, he starts out the speech by talking about how America had started as 3 million people coming over from America, and they were just 3 million people as a nation, and they won that war. And 100 years later, they are 40 million people strong. And I see this as just being quite the encouragement to the American people. And just what they needed to hear. Think of the timeline of it. They're just coming off of a civil war where there's still a little bit of disunity, still a little bit of mindsets that are fixed of hatred towards the North and the South, and they're still one nation. They became that after the war, but they seem to be a disunified nation during this time. And so Ulysses S. Grant reminds them of how far they had come. Like, think back to the beginning and how America became the way that they are today. And he talks about how far they had come and starts listing off things about the Industrial Revolution. He talks about different inventions that made things possible in that great American nation. Talks about the cotton gin, the steamship, the railroad that made travel in America possible and doable, and just how important these inventions were. And even the printing machines and sewing machines that made harsh winters easier through warm clothing and simple inventions like that that just made America great. And he talks about this, and I think it's just so needed to the American people to hear right after a civil war, and just how far they had come in this way. And still on the article of Info Please, Ulysses S. Grant stated in his speech that they still had a lot to go, and he still had goals in his final tenure as president. He still had goals and visions of where America needed to be. And one of them, he states in this article, in his State of the Union speech, that he wanted the states to be required to afford education to every child within their limits. And so he wanted public schools to exist in this nation, and how students should have a right to education, because he knew that if America were to go far in the future, that people need to be educated. And he talked about the concept of separation of church and state, which is still talked about today. He talked about how he wanted the separation of church and state, but he wanted each of them to be free within their own proper spheres. So he believed in the church, believed in the states, but he just decided that would be better if they were separate. And we still make laws today about this concept. And lastly, in his speech, he ended it all by commanding respect from the rest of the world. Now, America during this time, they were seen as a strong nation fighting against the fighting against Great Britain and declaring independence as a nation. And after 100 years, they were seen as so great, and the Civil War happened, and this was a sign of weakness to the rest of the world. And Ulysses S. Grant wanted the American people to know that if they're going to go far in the future, that he wanted to command respect of other nations across the world. And I just think that this whole State of the Union speech was very timely and very important to the American people. And according to everything that they had been through, from fighting against each other and understanding that they had come from this very small nation, they're still a powerful nation. They still have so much potential in them. I just think that this whole speech was important to America as a whole. So I hope you guys took something out of this, took something of value from this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it.